Hello. Today I'm going to show you a way to separate the trabecular bone from the cortical bone in long bones like this one you can see here. So if one wants to do it manually, it would be very time consuming, and at the same time you would have to do it manually for each individual bone that you have. So here in this tutorial, I'm going to use the CT analyzer, and we are going to work with the custom processing to create a task list so that we can do it automatically and we can replicate to other bone that you might have in your as your sample. So let's start here with the region of interest. So first of all, you would like to select the region you want to work with. This is the region I want to analyze, and the region of interest initially has to be the whole dataset. It has to be outside your cortical bone. Let's go for the custom processing tab. And here in the internal tab, we have the processes that we can do. I will start with the filtering. And in the filtering, I'm going to use anisotropic diffusion in 3D. And this is the settings I have already prepared. The filtering will smooth the areas without losing any information on the structure. This is the result for the filtering. Next step is the threshold. I have set 85 to be the threshold, and this is a bit underestimated in relation to the value, but still I'm going to do it. You can see the result here. It creates a little bit larger region, but this is on purpose because I want to have the region of interest here inside, and I need it to be a little bit smaller than actually the cavity. And also, if I make it a little bit smaller, like 85, it's a bit smaller than I should have used. It is because I want to make sure that some openings that can occur on the cortical bone do not affect too much when I select the region of interest. And you can see here, if I have selected a higher value like 100, it could be that these could be more open, and it would make it much more difficult to use some of these options here to close these openings. But for now, 85 is working well for my selection of the region of interest. And just remember to include in the task list. So the filtering was the first one, and now the thresholding. Okay. Next step is to use the raw Shrinkwrap so that we have our region of interest, that for now it's still the whole region, to be wrapped around the borders, the outside border of my sample. And to do so, I will select a 2D. I have to select the 2D because if I select the 3D, you will notice that the sample is open on the top and the bottom, and there will be no stretch over holes that will overcome these openings. So you have to do it slice by slice. That's why we select the 2D. And I'm going to choose the stretch over holes so that I can make sure that in regions like these, the selection is not going to go and surround exactly the region. I want it to wrap all the way outside my cortical bone. Let's see the result, and here we are. We see the ROI here. It's very important that you swipe all the way through the sample very carefully to check for any unwanted happenings. So none of the images should have any opening or any empty space inside. So this is a good one. I'm going to add to the plugin, to the task list. So next step is we can have a look here. So if I go for the bitwise operation, I have two options actually now. I can first invert my image, so I would have it inverted, but the black background here is going to be white. And I actually want it to be inverted so that I get the white, this internal region here to be white, and everything outside should be black. As I have already the region of interest with this one black, I have two options. Either I can make it a bitwise operation with an image equals not image, then I invert, and then I could make image equals region of interest and image. If I want to shorten, I can just use the XOR and make the image to be region of interest XOR image, and then it would give me the result directly. And this is what you have. Actually, what I did was to make the image to be exactly the image inside the region of interest. So this is what we have. We have a lot of, let's say, I can call it noise, but these dots, these white spikes here, white speckles here are due to the Shrinkwrap that we have used, and it wrapped around the sample, and these empty spaces here, the pores that are opened somehow here, they are appearing yet here. Let's include, let me see if I didn't forget anything. No. So now we have this. We have to get rid of this noise. So what we can do is, first of all, I can do the morphological operation and try to make it like an opening. I'll make it 2D because I just want to work in the slices, and I can make it more or less 2 applied to the image. This will remove a lot, but still we have some of them like here, and you can see that they are actually not connected. So I will run a despeckle and make it a sweep in the 3D. So it will I will assure that most of these white dots that are actually pores that were part of the cortical bone, I hope they are removed. So let's go through the sample and check again. Some of them are still there, but they are connected to the bone marrow. I see here that some of them are coming out, and actually this is an opening on the cortical bone. Let me include here. I can also get rid of this if I just don't want it. I can use, for example, a morphological operation, and not morphological operation because it might be too strong and I damage the sample. So let's use the remove white speckles. In the 2D, let's keep it 80. It's a high number, but it's going to remove only those which are not desired. So it looks very good now. I will include this in my task list because it worked. So next step is I can go for the morphological operation now. I have here my region of interest. I have here my image. If I do a morphological operation now and a closing, and I work with the high value like 20, I will be able to close all this empty space that actually is the trabecular region. It is the trabeculae. There you are. Let's see if everything was okay. It is okay. Yeah. So it's important to notice that we have created a lot of kind of spikes around my bone marrow region, and they are actually mostly due to some openings that you find in the cortical bone, but they are also not very nice. I don't want my region of interest to have this. And to smooth this, let me add this one. I can use the morphological operation doing the opposite, doing an opening, then I will remove an amount of pixels on the borders and then include again. So I will keep the same value. You can see how it's going to smooth, and now it looks more okay to the selection of the region of interest. Okay, now I have region of interest, I have image. It is always important to check if the region, the border of the region I have here so far, if it's actually inside the bone marrow cavity, because it looks like in here, in this region, it is still touching the cortical bone. So that we assure that it's not going to happen, I will make a erosion here, so to remove some pixels on the border of my image and make it like 2 or 3. And then you see that it shrinks a little bit, and now I am more or less sure that it is not going to be part of the cortical bone to be included. Next step now is to make the region of interest to be exactly this image that we have here, and we can do it by just copying the region of interest to be a copy of the image, and now we have the region of interest here. So we can check how it is now, if it's okay or not to have this region, and to do so, what we can do first is I can just check here by reloading the image. If I reload the image, I have the region of interest to be the bone marrow cavity, and if I look at the image inside the right, I should be able to see only the trabecular region. And it looks very good. Another way is you can save a bitmap with the applying to the region of interest, and you can select the format. You create a folder for you. I will create ROI and make it be 1-bit image, a monochromatic image. So if you come to the region of interest, the region of interest tab, you will open and go to the folder. Of course, nothing is showing here because it's looking for ROI files, and you can choose to bitmap and click in any of them and load. So here you can see if it's okay, the region of interest, and it looks quite good. It's delineating very close to the cortical bone and not touching any cortical bone, so it looks very good. So let's go back to our our selection. Let me reset here. As I have done some changes here, I have to start over. As I have the task list, I just run the task list until the last one I did. I didn't include the reload, neither the saving. So we haven't included the bitwise operation. This has to be a copy. Okay, now we have the region of interest. I will make the reload. So from here, coming back from here, what you can do is, if you want to quantify the region of the trabecular region, here just need to apply. You can apply the filter again if you want to smooth your image, or you can go directly to the threshold. I haven't checked for a threshold for this, but probably it's somewhere over. Let's go for the trabecular region. Come closer. There are other ways to do the threshold. You will see some new options like adaptive threshold that maybe is better for trabecular bone. But let's just assume that this is a good one. So I can do this one. Okay, and then you have the thresholded region of it, of the trabecular region, and you have the region of interest here. So doesn't matter if you still have the cortical bone in the image. When you do the analysis, it is going to consider the region inside the region of interest, and your total volume is going to be the medullary volume. Okay, if now you want to analyze the cortical bone, or to create a region of interest only for the cortical bone, we can still go on from this point we stopped here. So not this one, because I have already copied to the region of interest. So let's reload. Oops, and run again the task list. So from here I have the region of interest to be the outer border, to be surrounding the whole bone, and inside in the image I have the inner part, that is the cavity, the bone marrow cavity. So what I can do is just subtract this one from this one, but just to be sure that I'm going to have the cortical bone very the region selected very close to the cortical bone in the inner part, I would like to, for example, what I can do here is to dilate the image a little bit, maybe just 1 pixel in the 2D, and then make it a little bit larger. And this is only because I want to subtract the region of interest is going to be a subtraction of the region of interest and the image. And if I look here, I have the cortical region selected. To compare, here you see it's a bit larger, a little bit larger, but still ideally, if you want to have to make sure that every cortical bone is inside your region of interest, you should keep like this. Otherwise, what you could do is, instead of doing just 1 pixel here in the dilation of the image before the subtraction, you could go for a higher value here, and then you would decrease this border, the inner border here. The thing is, the outer border is already selected to be the surrounding exactly the bone, so you don't need to worry about eroding the region of interest itself. And then you have now the region of interest to be only the cortical. If I reload my image again, I can have a look here, and I have just the cortical bone without any trabecular bone. It looks very good. And again, you can go here and save bitmap. You can create another folder for this one in case you want to keep the region of interest for yourself. Otherwise, just go here in the task list. I forgot to continue here, but you can do it yourself. Just go to export and save your own task list so that you can apply it to the other samples. Just make sure that all the samples are tested with this task list before you run the analysis. Don't run the analysis without checking for all the task lists or all the samples if they are working with your task list. Many times you will have to do some adaptation. You have to adapt some small things because of the irregularities of the bones. Not all the bones are the same. They are biological samples. They will change very, very strongly. So here, of course, when you have this, you have the region inside the image inside the region of interest. You just apply your 3D analysis. Again, you can choose what you want to analyze. In the cortical bone, you would like to have the porosity of the cortex, and maybe in the trabecular bone, you would like to include some of the separation, thickness of the trabeculae, and so on. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you very much.